Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Stankovich, and this week I want to talk about a few of the blogs that I've written that may be of interest to you. The first one was a blog that I wrote about the impact of sports specialization on sport-related injuries. You know, it's been about 10 years or so since we first witnessed a spike in the number of kids, student athletes, that have chosen to play one sport exclusively, the sports specialist, versus the traditional means that kids would play sports, different sports throughout the year. We call that sports sampling. With sports specialization, you know, the first thing you think about is you usually see a more rapid increase in skill acquisition. Obviously, you're playing the sport more. A lot of kids who specialize will play year-round, and so therefore they tend to get better faster. The converse to this, or the big concern, would be the increased chance for youth sport burnout, and that happens a lot, and I see that a lot in my practice where kids have just played too much. Maybe they played 10, 11, 12 months of the year and they're exhausted. Well, now we need to be concerned about the new medical reports that are suggesting kids who specialize may actually be wearing out their bodies in specific places unique to the sport that they play, and so therefore they may actually be at a greater risk for injury. So this creates an entirely new paradigm that's quite interesting. The sports specialist might get better at his or her sport because he or she is specializing, but at the same time they're running a greater risk for injury, which actually offsets the idea of being a specialist because you may be missing out on time for practice because you're hurt. So just an interesting topic for us all to think about, especially if we're involved in youth or interscholastic sports. The second blog that I wrote about that I think is also very interesting to think about, especially if you are a coach or a parent, someone who's involved in helping a youngster learn how to play his or her sport, is this idea around the technical aspect of sport. And you know, a lot of times when I do lectures on sport performance, we talk about three interrelated areas to sport success: the physical dimension, the technical aspects of the sport, and then the mental toughness that's needed to execute that sport. And you know, a lot of times it's that technical part that athletes and coaches and parents tend to obsess on. So if your kid goes out today and has a bad game, if you're like most people, the advice that you'll give that youngster is to go back tomorrow and just practice harder, practice more, with the idea being that more repetition will lead to greater athletic success. Now, of course, technique is very important in sport, but I think we sometimes overcompensate in that area, especially at the expense of teaching youngsters the importance of mental toughness. And what I'm trying to say here is when a youngster is confident, knows how to control his anxiety, knows what to focus on in game situations, a lot of times that gives him more wiggle room for not being technically sound, as they like to say. And so my point in the article, if you watch baseball, for example, since it's spring, if you watch a game tonight on TV, I guarantee you will see each pitcher has a different windup, a different delivery. Same thing with batters. They all have a different stance. And again, the point is that there's probably not just one right way when it comes to most sports. And what we might actually benefit from is teaching kids the importance of learning technique, but also paying attention to some of these mental aspects so that they can go out and be very confident when they compete, which will actually let them compensate if their technique isn't textbook quality. So those are a few of my thoughts this week, and I hope you'll check out the blog. And be sure to visit my website at drstankovich.com for many products that can help you as an athlete, coach, or parent reach your full athletic potential.